Welcome to Shaw University's The Project Refocus Podcast, where we keep the disparities and equity issues that plague our Wake County communities in the forefront, while highlighting those who are committed to changing the narrative. I'm your host, Aliyana Cooper. Our topic today, we will be discussing gentrification and affordable housing and its potential effects on the Wake County community. And our special guest today is going to help us better understand the importance for generations to come. Let us remind you that we are here to highlight the game changers, the people with boots on the ground who are really making a difference in our Wake County communities. Today we have with us Ms. DaQuanta Copeland. Ms. Copeland has been serving our community and being an advocate for over 20 years. She is a motivational speaker, a family advocate and educational liaison, a mother, a grandmother, and she loves the Lord. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here with you.
I'm happy to have you. What nonprofit organizations do you represent?
Well, I work for Wake County government with the Affordable Housing and Community Revitalization team, but I also am connected with, I have my own nonprofit, but then I'm connected with the community partners in the county.
How long has any of your nonprofit organizations been established? Like it doesn't matter which one, if you want to talk about it.
Wake County forever.
Right.
Right. But I don't know the birth of all of them, but my organization was developed in 2019 in the midst of the pandemic.
Can you tell us what the name of your organization is?
It is 2 B's, Brains and Brothers, Too Smart to Be Statistics. It was founded by my 6-year-old son and his 5-year-old best friend in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement. They wanted to teach other kids how to be superheroes. So we developed a nonprofit so that we can cater to the youth and give them a powerful voice and teach them how to use their voice effectively.
That is amazing. I want to be a superhero.
You can come.
How can citizens in the community join this organization?
Just reach out to us. You can send me an email at two bs.brainsandbrothers@gmail.com and just show your interest and we'll reach back out.
How would you define gentrification?
Gentrification is the dismantlement and the makeup of a neighborhood where higher income earners or higher cost properties comes into the communities that displace the lower income and the people that most likely are there. And it's a dismantlement of a historical neighborhood for lower income residents.
So I was watching this TV show and they talked about gentrification. What are some things and key characteristics to look out for, and how do you know like an area is being gentrified? The reason they knew that their area was being gentrified was because they were putting like business, like different corporations within their street. So what other characteristics can people look out for?
Higher cost homes, different amenities that are coming, anything that will come into your neighborhood and create more equity or enhance and raise the cost for amenities. Because, when you're looking to purchase a home or you're renting, you choose according to the characteristics of the neighborhood.
Right.
And so when you're going into neighborhoods with pools, walkable luxury shopping, you pretty much know that the earning around that area is higher because it has to support the taxes for it. So I was always told, when you see that white line come down your street, which means they're developing a bike lane, and it's never been one there, that's the first sign that your neighborhood characteristics are about to change.
So like within the community, like say within your apartment complex, for example, if they're putting like a new dog park or like if they're building a basketball court, can that be considered gentrification as well?
If it's not done in collaboration with the people who are already there, most likely it is.
Oh.
Because that's an enhancement that is coming. But if you're enhancing things, but not the lives of the people, then it's not designed for the people that is there. It's designed for the people you're trying to draw there.
Right. How does this affect the people in the community?
Heavy. Heavy. Because oftentimes we know that evolution takes growth.
Right.
And it takes changes. But if we as a community or people, if we can't afford to keep up with the times of the growth and the enhancements, then you're oftentimes taxed out. You can have a house that you paid $50,000 for 60 years ago that is now valued at a higher price, which means you now pay more in taxes for that property. And if that is the case, you're on fixed income, you're now retired, your kids are gone, you don't have the income to stay in that place. So then you're pushed out. So people they lose homes, not even from mortgages or foreclosures. They sometimes lose them for not being able to pay taxes.
So, I know there's some houses downtown like that. There has been a couple that's been in that house for, I want to say, 50-something years. And, like, they're trying to build new stuff downtown. So, their mortgage rates are going up. And they're elderly. They can't really pay for it. So, like, that's sad. Like,
Right,
that's so
right.
sad.
So just to help you, it's not their mortgage that's going up because that house is probably paid off.
Right.
Because if they've been there for 50 years, that house could have cost them every bit of $38,000. It's the taxes and the value now of the land. And oftentimes, depending on what enhancements they've made, what renovations, if they have not done any deep renovations or enhancements to it, then their building may be valued at $15,000, the house itself. But the land could be valued at $500,000. They're paying for the land, not the building.
So can they, like, the construction workers or the contractors, can they go to the couple and say, hey, I want to buy your house just for this land, and, like, give them the money like that?
They can. But for me personally, I tell people, if someone is willing to come and give you a check for $300,000 for something you only paid $30,000 for, they're gonna get a lot more from it.
Right.
So if there's a way for us to help our community stay in place and age in place, then that is very important to do, by helping find resources, any tax relief programs, and just, we don't want to lose the history and the culture and the characteristics of our neighborhoods, but not everybody is willing to stay and fight that fight. So if they pass away or they have kids that don't live here, they're grown and gone, but they're still here, kids may be like, you know what, let's just sell it. It's a $300,000 we didn't have before.
Right.
So if a developer comes in and wants to purchase a home, if you're looking to stay, you can't go anywhere with what they're going to give you. So then what?
Right. How can gentrification affect voting?
Gentrification affects voting because it changes the people in the neighborhood. So when the people in the neighborhood change, the representation changes. So if you have a lone sitting council member, commissioner, General Assembly representative, if you have representative that reflects the culture or the characteristics of what the community is today, and then you gentrify and you change the race, the age, the need, then that representative is now out of date. So how does it affect voting is because there be a mismatch between the representation and the community.
Right.
And it's very negative.
How can gentrification be approached in a way that promotes social equity and justice?
I don't think gentrification can. There's no way to positively um, impact or promote social equities or justice in a positive manner. Because if it's gentrification, that means you've dismantled, you've displaced, you've done something. Enhancements in a community is needed.
Right.
Basketball courts, community centers, what walkable grocery stores or things that you can do. Those are all enhancements that we can have that can still keep the culture and the characteristics of the community by stabilizing.
Right.
However, if we're going to say gentrification, that's just what it is.
Right.
It's a dismantlement system of pushing those out that are there out. So I don't see how it could be positive for gentrification to come through. Enhancements are welcome. Growth is going to happen. But if you label it gentrification, it's nothing positive about it.
What inspired you to become in issues related to gentrification?
Well, Ben, is that I have lived in a predominantly African American community, and to see the changes, see the things that was historically put in place to enhance the lives of the African American community be taken away and lose its historical value or culture. Lived experience, being one of the ones that have had to live through the change of the community.
And how has the community changed from
My. Well, just even right here at Shaw. What has been around Shaw in the last 5 years and what is here now is a major difference, right? It's the income levels have changed, which is how the luxury apartments and housing is coming about. The culture, the demographics of those that are here has changed. And then we had pretty walkable neighborhoods where you can go to the corner store and get that loaf of bread or those eggs or that milk if you don't have your own transportation. You didn't have to catch a bus unless you needed groceries, right? We had things here that was very tangible, and we don't have that anymore.
What are the ethical considerations when discussing or planning urban development in gentrifying areas?
Consider people. Understand that we're not just knocking down buildings or we're not just touching stuff. These are people's lives. And the success of the livelihoods depend on stable housing. So if they don't have stable housing, they don't have the income to move out. Say, for instance, if we use Wake County, for example, a lot of people who still have to work in Raleigh has been pushed out to Zebulon, Wendell, Apex, Fuquay, going out further. But then we put more wear and tear on vehicles, if they have some. There's no connective tissue when it comes to the transportation. So then now you're forcing people into poverty even further than what they already were because of displacement of the communities and neighborhoods.
Are there any successful policies or programs that have been implemented to reduce the negative impacts of gentrification?
Well, from the county's perspective, I would say our housing department caters to the community, listens to the community, and try to establish strategic programming to help offset what, is being experienced. However, that still takes a strong collaborative effort between the cities and the county. So the county in a lot of aspects only have the ability to do what they can do, but it has to be in collaboration because if cities and towns are in enhancement mode, and it's nothing to preserve the housing or the livelihood of those that are there, then it's really counterproductive according to what the county is trying to put out, who caters to the human portion of everything.
How does gentrification affect the social fabric and demographic composition of neighborhoods?
Say, for instance, I've gone to elementary with someone. We're in elementary, we're in middle school, and then we have all these plans of what school we're going to for high school and all those things. And then gentrification come in, and 5 of my neighbors is displaced, or I'm displaced. Like it really affects the ability to age in place. I come from a culture, back in the day, and I don't want to tell my age, but we moved into grandma's house. Or, my mom lived in grandma's house, then we live in my mom's house. We don't have that ability to do right now in our communities.
We're back with Ms. DaQuanta Copeland talking all things gentrification. How can cities create more inclusive and equitable development strategies moving forward?
Honestly, listening and being in tune with the community, knowing what your landscape is and who is there will help develop equitably. Because if you're allowing developers to come in without any conscience to who's there and what effects development will have, that's normally the negative of impact, or the lack of care of who's there.
How would you define affordable housing and why is it important?
So affordable housing is used in 2 different terms. One, affordable housing is for like workforce housing, right? So when affordable housing came about, it was for those that was working but had a certain income level and still be able to have quality, sustainable housing. So you have the workforce housing, but then you have the low income housing for those on fixed income or lower earning income. And that alone just means that everybody have the ability to actually obtain quality housing, equitable housing, and be able to just live and still be able to afford it.
Can you discuss any local, state, or national policies that influence affordable housing in this area?
Yes, the HUD, which is the urban federal programs that bring the funding into the community. So from the NC 507, the continuum of care, that's where all the money is coming into the community for affordable housing. And that system is who determines what programs receive it for housing resources. So I think, from that policy setting level, just being at that table and being able to talk about what is the need in our community, but being able to do it along with the partners that are providing the services and actually touching the people.
How does affordable housing positively impact the community, and what are some potential negative consequences to be aware of?
Positively affect, I feel as though oftentimes in our county and our towns, cities, we're continuously working out of trauma in a crisis state, right? So if we have affordable housing, and it's being is that from the White House level, affordable housing or housing is the number one social determinants of health. You can't be healthy mentally, physically. You can't be productive with working income, going to school, being successful if you don't have stable housing. So being is that we're continuously working in this crisis, then we have to get to a place to where we can get our communities safe. Safe as in housing. Basic necessity is something that shouldn't be a big. It should be a God-given situation, right? So then we get people safely stable in housing, and then we can get to a stable place to where we can concentrate on higher education. We can concentrate on increased job income earnings, or we can concentrate on being entrepreneurs so that we can then get to a thriving place. So having affordable housing to where we can just have the basic necessity of quality housing so that we can at least concentrate and have a place where someone can get rest at night or eat, have their kids in a safe place, is the main characteristic of what affordable housing can bring into our community. Is just that second level of being safe, so that we can address any other needs. Some of the negative things to take into consideration is the fact that without housing, nothing else matters.
Right.
I can't take insulin because where can I store it at? I can't study because how? Or, it's a lot of things that goes in place when housing is insecurity. So I think those are the main things.
I know you just said storing insulin. So how can the people in the community lend out or like get more aware and accommodating for homeless people in their time of needs in cohorts to affordable housing?
I just say live a life of humanity. We people are mean right now, right?
Yes.
People are mean. The world is not playing nicely, and so it'll be hard to give somebody the advice of, if you see a homeless person, ask them if they're on medication, let them store it at your house, like So it's just knowing what our surroundings are and being willing to be part of the solution, honestly. Because we do have service providers that are out, that are in place, that's receiving governmental funds to be the solution.
Right.
So just educating the community on what resources are available and how to get to them and how to guide others to them. Then that's the thing, because within our county, we're rich with resources. We are rich. There's a lot of major life-changing programs available, but the knowledge of those programs is one of our biggest disparities.
How do you plan to address issues of equity and inclusion within the county, ensuring that all residents have equal access to opportunities and the resources?
Well, you know what? With my job, I'm the community engagement coordinator, right, with the Affordable Housing Department. And so for me, I actually get to stand on the shoulders of Wake County government within my community. Like, I'm still my community. I'm the people.
Right.
But so I get to come out, and I'm a sponge when it comes to education and understanding. So I'm in spaces to learn so that I can come back and teach.
Right.
So each one teach one, right? And we live by that philosophy. So I come out into the community and I help navigate. I educate on what resources are available, but then I also give guidance on how to assess it with as much minimum trauma as possible. But then at the same time, the biggest honor I feel I have in my current position is the fact that I get to stand in a room of governmental leaders and advocate on behalf of the community, because I've also listened while I was teaching, I was learning. And I at no point want to ever feel like all issues are cookie cutter. Your issues not mine, mine are not yours. Life has given us our own hand to deal with. And so we cannot strategically or effectively put together a plan to help enhance your life if you're not there.
Right.
Because we don't know your issues. We can do something, but will that something actually affect you positively or negatively? And I do believe that help that's not seen as help is no help at all. So being able to come out and educate and listen and then come back and advocate is major. because I'm the bridge between government and people.
Yes.
And that is an honor.
Can you provide examples of successful initiatives you have been involved with that demonstrate your ability to lead and bring about positive change?
My position. My current position as the community engagement coordinator for the Affordable Housing and Community Revitalization Department for Wake County government, it's never existed before. The community has never been at the table on this level.
Wow.
Ever. So I when I say I'm honored because for me, from a ministry perspective, when God calls you to be an evangelist, He trusts your heart posture and your mindset for the people to be able to transfer and translate conversations of His word to bring hope and understanding, but education.
Right.
And I get to do that. Like, I get paid to do what I was born to do.
That's amazing.
And it found me. I didn't have to find it.
That's awesome.
So to be able to, in this current position, I was doing this position for free from out there, but I was paying to be the advocate.
Right.
I was taking vacation time from my job. I was taking personal time from my job so that I can come into free advocacy meetings to be the one in the room to bring a different perspective,
Right.
to gain knowledge out of that room. And there was a position that someone said, we need that in government. And so I think that's the most positive thing, is government being willing to actually hear from the people and design plans with the people in mind for who we serve, but being inclusive to everybody. We're not pushing away those with money or don't
Right.
need the advocate. We're also not overlooking those that are sleeping on the street. Everybody matters.
What is your approach on promoting transparency and accountability in county government, and how do you plan to engage with constituents to ensure their voices are heard?
What's my approach? Direct.
Live and direct.
Live and direct. Yes. Honestly, that is it. I lead, I teach, I learn with humility, love, and respect. And I do that because the God in me allows me to understand that life gave us all a different perspective, right? And because life gives us a different perspective, it doesn't mean that your perspective is wrong, or it doesn't mean that it's right. It just means that's the way you see. So what we have to do as a people is respect that.
Right.
Because there's things that you experience or you were taught that you had no choice in.
Right.
So if that's what you know, then that's what you know. But if we can come together collaboratively and we take what you know or what you've learned and we put what I know and I learned on the table and we pull from both for a common goal, then success is the only option, right? So being able to just lead with humility and consideration, with love, it's a lot that we can continue to do.
How do you plan to support and collaborate with local businesses, agriculture, and other key industries to promote economic resilience and diversity?
Also, in being able to speak to the people, you also have to consider the businesses and the faith-based communities, whatever that looks like within your community, because we have neighborhoods and then we have community.
Right.
Right? Those are different. The way that you approach that is different. Shaw University has its own culture as a neighborhood. But Shaw University and Chavis Community Center and Walnut Terrace housing is a community. It's collaborative effort, right? So being able to have all aspects at the table is going to be key to be able to really move forward and just have those conversations and educate, letting them know, like with businesses, why is housing important to you or why you should want to help be a solution. Because if I just slept in my car all night and it was too hot, it was too cold, and I haven't showered, I'm trying to shower in your bathroom, how can I come and be productive for your business
Right.
when my whole world is crashed? So you may not be the one that have to put me in a place, but you will want to help create a system that I get to stay in a place. Because me being healthy benefits you too.
Yeah. Okay. If you had a theme song, what would it be?
Well, my number one all-time theme song will always be "She's a Bad Mama Jamma." That is my number one go-to. But honestly, right now, where I am in my mind and what I'm doing with my community is Andrea Day. I Rise Up.
Oh, that's a good song. I
Yeah,
like that song.
yeah. That's where we are right now. We're rising.
Well, can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at DaQuanta.Copeland@wake.gov, and I'll spell that out. It's DaQuanta.COPELAND @wake.gov.
What did we learn today? I learned that gentrification doesn't have to be the end. It doesn't have to stop just because they pushed you out of your community, out of your neighborhood. You can still get up and choose to fight. You can still go to the city council meetings, town hall meetings. You can get out there and get educated. Did you learn anything today, Miss Copeland?
I did. I learned this is necessary.
Yes.
And so thank you for the work that you all are doing to bring light to these conversations and giving this type of platform, because we get to now have this open conversation and dialogue with those who may not otherwise have the ability to do so. So thank you guys.
You're welcome. It's about that time. I want to thank our special guest for joining us today. You're listening to the Shaw University's Project Refocus Podcast. Peace.